No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. And I'm in here today having a conversation with an underground legend who I ran into while I was out at Rolling Loud in Miami. Kxllswxtch on the podcast. How you feeling, man?
I'm doing great. I mean, I can't complain. I'm here at No Jumper with you, so.
Yeah, No Jumper. Yeah, I mean, I've been curious about you for a long time just because I knew that you were, plugged in with Puya and Fat Nick and everything. So I've been following you on social media for a while, but we finally met at Rolling Loud, and I figured,
Yeah, that was hella, random. I didn't expect you to be there because you haven't been at, the last 5 years of Rolling Louds? Or?
Yeah, basically. I went to the California one like a few months ago, and then I went to this one. But before that, I didn't go before the pandemic. So yeah.
Yeah, that was hella random, but shit was cool to finally meet you in person after talking back and forth online.
No, definitely, man. I'm happy that we're finally getting this in. So let's start off with your childhood. So you were actually from Anaheim.
Yeah, like right around the corner, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
It's from Anaheim, Orange County, born and raised. I was back and forth through Buena Park, Cypress, and Anaheim, those three cities.
Okay.
So, but all Orange County the whole time. Just moving around, a lot of problems with family issues. So ended up staying with grandma, and then.
What were your parents getting into?
Dude, it was divorce, obviously, from when I was 5. And then once they got divorced, my mom became an alcoholic, and my dad got locked up.
Whoa.
So
what did he get locked up for? Was it related to the breakup?
Dude, it was a bunch of stuff related to the breakup. We also had a bunch of guns inside the house, so they confiscated all those. He got locked up for that, and then eventually got locked up for beating up an undercover cop. So there was all that type of stuff around me. And then like I said, my mom became an alcoholic, so she was just worried about getting drunk and not too worried about the kids and shit.
Damn.
So I would try to get away from that. And it was just back and forth between mama's crib to grandma's crib until I ended up getting a restraining order on my mom. Because she ended up beating us really bad, which I'm cool with my mom now. My mom's amazing. She recovered and everything. And
really,
I don't hold shit against people. So.
She just had a bad segment of her life.
Yeah. I mean, she had us young, so it was pretty bad. But yeah. So I ended up almost going to a foster home. But then my grandma took me in. So stay with her, and then once Dad got out of jail, then I was with him.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff to unpack there. But
damn. So do you feel like you had a lot of anger and resentment for how your childhood sort of played out?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I still have little outbreaks because I have a really bad temper. But
do you think you got that from your dad?
For sure,
because I got something like that, and when I think about it, I'm like, it's so similar to the way that my dad was an asshole when I was a kid. So I'm kind of always trying to keep it in mind, but for sure I got that from him.
No, 100%. And I mean, like you said with my dad, even if I didn't get it from him, through DNA, he raised me like that. He raised me to fight. Since I can remember, since I was 4 or 5, he put me in boxing and everything, and tried to teach me discipline, but ended up making me want to beat up people more. So
see, that's kind of, when I heard that, I thought it was kind of crazy because I always think of that with my kid. Granted, it's a girl, so it's kind of different, but I feel like you want to teach them jiu-jitsu, boxing, etc., because if they have some kind of understanding of what violence is, then it's not going to be mystical to them. It's going to be they have an understanding of it. They know why it's not cool to punch somebody in the face because there's always somebody bigger who could punch you in the face. But then when I heard that, I was like, oh shit, I mean, it could definitely just go the other way.
I mean, if you're fucked up in the head, you can like it and be like, damn, all right, I know all this shit now. I can beat these motherfuckers up. I can do whatever I want. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a different type of mindset from going into MMA or martial arts with a clean slate of not having a fucked up past, because then you're just you're learning off of everyone, and you're not going in there thinking, all right, I'm going in here to hurt someone. You're going in there for self-defense. But me, I was going in there because I wanted to hurt people.
Really?
So
then what, you just took that shit to school and were you just fighting all the time?
Yeah. I was from when I think the first fight I got in was like when I was like 6. So I broke some kid's nose when I was 6 because I was like a buff little kid.
Really?
Because
6 is a very early age to
Dude.
be capable of breaking somebody's nose.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. I used to be buff because my dad used to go to jail a lot, and I would call him and he'd be like, "Yeah, I'm doing 500 push-ups, 500 sit-ups, this and that. You got to do the same thing." So I would be doing prison workouts at home as a little kid. So I was like kind of jacked.
Yeah.
And then so when I went to school and I was Captain Save-A-Ho to this girl I had a crush on.
Oh shit.
I punched some kid's nose and it splattered.
And I'm assuming you got in all kinds of trouble at school.
Yeah, but I was a little kid, so they didn't like do anything crazy.
Right.
So.
Damn. So do you feel like have you ever had a conversation with your dad about that and like the fact that he kind of raised you with these certain ideals and understanding of what it was to be a man?
Yeah, like I mean, now everything's cool. Like everything's water under the bridge. Everything's settled between me, my mom, my dad, my family, and everything. And my dad just recently, like, he made his amends with like me and my siblings and stuff because it was like a whole lot of fucked up shit within like the family going on. So he wanted to like apologize for like raising us so fucked up where it's like he teaches us all the wrong things, which in my head are right because I think you should, be able to defend yourself. You should, like if someone disrespects you, I think you should punch them in the face.
Right.
Like that should be allowed. Just shit like that. So he apologized to us for like raising us that way, but I mean, shit, that's in my eyes, that's right. So
yeah, I mean, it's a fine line. Like there's like one way of how you personally would handle things, and then there's kind of like what you need to tell your kid in order to make them not just get suspended from school in 4th grade over and over, I guess,
Dude, yeah, and it got to the point where I actually got arrested when I was 15, and I spent 2 almost 3 months in juvie, because it was at first attempted murder, but then got dropped down to assault with a deadly weapon, and then they didn't have enough evidence, so they dropped it down to assault and battery, because I had gotten into a fight and I stomped out 3 people, and they said that was like curb stomping, which was like attempted murder, but then they didn't have enough evidence, so like they knocked it down.
Right, unless you have video, like how are you gonna prove something like that?
There was
right?
a video, but as soon as I stomped him out, no, I don't think I can get in trouble for it. But as soon as I stomped him out, the camera panned, so yeah, they didn't see it. Well, and also the cop turned off the little recording in the interrogation, so which you're not allowed to do that. So they ended up throwing out all the evidence anyway.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But so, like, where were you living after that point when you were with your grandma at like 12 or whatever?
My grandma, she was living in Cyprus. It's like a really nice, predominantly white neighborhood.
Okay.
So it was like the suburbs. That was like from when I was 12 to when I was around, I want to say 14, so like 2 years.
Okay.
I was living out there, just doing reckless shit, just going out all hours of the night, smoking, doing drugs, popping pills, getting in fights, all that type of shit. Just pretty much being a little hoodlum.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, okay, but then after 2 years, your dad got out of jail or whatever, and you started living with him again. How was that change? Because then you can compare it to like living with this older lady who I assume is like kind of different than living with your parents.
Dude, I feel so bad for that poor old lady.
Really?
I put her through hell. But yeah, no, my dad, he ended up he wasn't like in jail for like a super long time. I think the longest time he was in there for was like a year and a half, something like that. But he was always back and forth, so it wasn't like anything to where I can stay with him and it's a sure thing. So he ended up not going to jail for like a year. Got a mobile home in Anaheim, and then I lived with him, and it was cool because like my dad was like one of my best friends, because he's like, it took him a while to grow up. He was a little knucklehead, so he was always like selling drugs, doing drugs and everything. So it was like living with a homie more than living with an actual parent.
Right.
So that was cool, I guess.
I mean, it probably endeared you to him a lot, but at the same time, like now, do you look at it and think like, damn, he didn't really know how to be a regular father?
I mean, yeah, for sure, for sure. It's as fucked up as it is, yeah. But I mean, I tell him all the time, like, because he always apologizes for like the way he raised me. But I always tell him like it made me like who I am today, and like obviously I haven't gone out and killed anyone, so it's you didn't fuck up that bad. But
Right.
but I think he raised me good. So I mean, I have morals, I have respect, I have everything. So I think he raised me pretty good.
Definitely. So you got expelled for that fight with the 3 kids?
Yeah, I got expelled. I ended up I got expelled from every school in the county. So I had to go to continuation school, where it's just like a whole bunch of delinquents and shit. And then I did that for 2 years, and then on that last semester I went back to the school in the suburbs and then graduated from there, barely.
So you kind of like seen what it's like to have like a better quality of life as well as a fucked up quality of life. So from your perspective, which one, you know, obviously in my mind, it's like it would be better to live in a nice area and shit, but which one did you end up preferring?
Honestly, at the time, as stupid as it sounds, but I preferred like all the negative shit. I loved negative shit when I was little because I was just like a mean little gremlin. Like I was the person that like would go into a room and just like stare at motherfuckers the wrong way on purpose, hoping that they say something so I can just walk up and punch them in the face. Like I loved violence because all that shit was going on at home. So like I didn't have like an outlet for it.
Right.
So I would just like I would have these outbursts of like just finding the most negative shit to do, and I would do it.
Wow.
So I love the terrible way of living, but now that I look at it, it's stupid.
Yeah, no, I feel that 100%. When I was younger, like if somebody had said you could go live with your friends in like the worst part of town rather than live with your parents in a nice condo or whatever, I would have been like, hell yeah, I'm out of here,
I'm trying
bro.
to do hood rat shit with my friends.
Exactly, yeah, and it's kind of embarrassing when you think about it now, just because like as a grown up, it just seems kind of ridiculous. But I was angry as fuck. I wanted to just get into some shit.
Your frontal lobe hasn't came in yet. Like you think you're invincible too.
Right.
Like you think nothing can harm you. You're the baddest on the planet, but it's not true. Like
So how bad did you get with the drugs, and how did your dad deal with that?
So, I got pretty bad. It got to the point where I was on perks. I was doing 10 to 15 perks. I was snorting them. 10 to 15 perks a day.
10 30s?
Yeah.
Whew.
10 to 15. And they
Jeez.
were fentanyl laced too.
Yeah.
I was getting fentanyl laced ones on purpose because they were cheaper. So
Wow.
yeah, I was lucky to be alive. But
And how long were you doing that?
dude, for like, I would say like only like 6 months to a year.
Okay.
But the tolerance like went up crazy because I was doing it so much. I ended up just like not liking who I was becoming. Like I looked in the mirror one day and I was like, holy shit, like I'm skinny. Like I'm not even eating. I'm spending all my money on drugs. And I like looked at myself and I was like, damn, this is what my little sister's seeing. Like my little sister looks at me like like her idol, and she's seeing this sucked up dude that's on drugs, and that made me want to get sober. So I just went to rehab, got sober, and then actually got in trouble for doing Suboxone in rehab.
Wow.
Because the pain was like super unbearable. So I did a little Suboxone and they caught me. So I ran away. But yeah, I ended up staying sober.
You smuggled the Suboxone into rehab?
No, my homie had it. My homie in there. It's people think it's like rehab is a place where you can get clean and like no one has drugs there and it's like a friendly space. Dude, that's just like living at a halfway house and everyone can get drugs so easy.
Really?
Like, everyone has drugs in there. There's no rehab that has no drugs.
I feel like there's like levels to rehabs. There's probably like in the really high end ones, that's what you're paying like $100,000 a month. It's like to make sure that you don't actually get back on drugs.
Like the one that Chief Keef was at or some shit. Like that type of rehab.
Well, you always hear about them in like Malibu out here, and they're seriously, they're talking about like $20K a week and shit. I've heard, and I'm just like, who the fuck can afford that? That's insane.
Dude, I'll be constipated. I'll I'll take these pain withdrawals. Like,
I'd rather be a junkie than spend
right?
$20K a week.
Dude, $20K. You know how much fent I can get with that?
Yeah, for real. Just like lock me in a hotel room and just have a guard outside or something.
Literally.
If I need to get off this shit. I don't know. But okay, were you like obsessed with music this whole time as you're growing up and everything?
Yeah, like when I was like 5, I think. I mean, as long as I can remember, I was taking out pots and pans and like banging on pots and pans and shit. And my dad was like, "Oh, you got like a little rhythm, so I'm gonna get you a drum set." And I don't know if he bought it for me or if he stole it from somewhere, because he used to like go into houses and shit and and like break into shit. So I don't know where it came from, but he got me whatever I wanted. He pretty much got it for me. So I didn't have like a terrible life, but he got that for me, and I was like starting to play the drums. And then I got into like poetry and shit like that. And that's where my love for rap came in. But yeah, since I was a little kid, like every musical aspect I was infatuated with.
Definitely. What were the earliest rappers that you got interested in?
I would have to say probably like Tupac, Eminem, Lil Wayne, Drake, and then that was like what was getting fed to me pretty much. And then when I started to branch off when I was like 12, to start finding my own music tastes, I would say like Raider Clan. It was around that time, like Raider Clan, ASAP, like all that shit. So,
do you remember who turned you on to that stuff?
I didn't. I was just going through YouTube, and then I found SoundCloud, and then I was like, holy shit, like there's this music that you can just listen to for free, and you don't have to pay extra to not have the clean version. And it just sounds super raw. And that's when I first heard Threats, I think it was, with Denzel, Rob.
Pivotal song in the culture.
Dude,
yeah.
that was a crazy moment in history.
Yeah.
I remember when I found it on SoundCloud, I think it only had like 200 likes. And I was like, holy shit, this shit is gonna go crazy. And then out of nowhere, it just, boom, became a whole, like, the whole South Florida scene.
Yeah, no, that was definitely like one of the biggest songs of that era. And I remember like sort of realizing at some point that wasn't just like another song. That was like a song that really kind of like blew that whole scene up a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it was like completely different to what like was popular at the moment. It was like, I mean, not too much, because Tyler the Creator was a thing too.
Yeah.
But not too many people were like on that dark, almost satanic, not really satanic type of shit. So it was like a breath of fresh air, and everyone loved it.
Definitely. So when did you start rapping?
I started rapping in like when I was like 15. I would just like typical little kid go on YouTube, type beats, and just rap over type beats, freestyle with the homies and shit. And then one day, my homie from Maryland came out, and shouts out Sorma. His name's Sorma. He came with a mic and he knew how to use Logic. And I was like, yo, I see you guys rapping, like I want to rap. And he's like, no, you're white, you're gonna be ass. And I was like, whatever, okay, fine. I'll keep writing my little freestyles and shit. And then one day he was at my crib recording, and since I had used his crib, or since he used my crib to record, he was like, you wanna like hop on this? Like, let's see what you can do. And I was like, yeah, sure. Hopped on it, and he liked how it sounded, and he was like, dude, you actually sound pretty good rapping, like you should keep this shit up. So ever since then, I learned how to use Logic, got my own laptop, just started downloading software, and then just YouTube on how to do shit, and then just recorded myself.
Definitely. And so like people classify you as like trap metal now.
Dude, I hate that classification. I hate it.
I was thinking about that. Yeah, it is kind of problematic just because there's like a lot of stuff that kind of fuses some of like hip hop and metal together. And
I don't use beats that are like have like metal instruments in it, at least for my rap shit. Like I just do like Southern style beats, like the shit that like Mikey the Magician. You know Mikey the Magician? Yeah, like shit that he makes.
I hadn't thought about him in a minute, and then when I was like watching some shit about you, I got reminded of him, and I'm like, oh fuck, yeah, that dude used to always be around. Yeah,
shouts out him. He literally is the reason why I'm here. Him and Kxllswxtch, they pretty much kickstarted my career.
Really?
From nothing. So,
Okay. Yeah. So when you start to actually get some motion or things started to kind of get moving in your career, who was it?
That was Kxllswxtch. He saw me. He found me through one of my homies, Dom the Kid, and he ended up like liking my shit. And he was like, "Yo, I like your music. Let's make like a project together, and then I'll show it to Mikey the Magician and see what he wants to do with it." And I was like, "All right, cool." We made it, sent it to Mikey the Magician, and he was like, "Yo, this is fire. I want to like walk him into Empire." So then they walked me into Empire, and they offered me like a little $10,000 advance for like distribution and shit. And I was like, take it. I mean, I haven't had a deal before, so I want to try this. And it was when this was like right after X had passed, and X was signed to Empire, and I was like, oh shit, X was signed to Empire. Like I have the similar type of music. I have a similar type of music to him, so maybe they can like do shit with my music. They can actually get it to where I want it to be. So then I went with them, and yeah, after that it just blew up. Like the first project I put out with them was Kill, was like a self-titled album, and then right after that I dropped Disorder, and then that had my gold record on it.
So for that era, what was it like signing to Empire? What did they bring to the table that helped your music blow up?
Honestly, they had like a lot of shit with like behind the scenes. Like they helped out putting people together, like some YouTubers to like introduce me to gamers and stuff like that, which ultimately helped out with the song Waste to blow up, because they put it on like gaming channels and shit, and then it made its way to TikTok, and then just exploded from there.
So was that song, because that song ended up blowing the fuck up. It's got like 16 million views or whatever. I'm sure that changed your life a lot, right?
Oh, 100%. I bought a crib off of it.
Really?
Yeah.
And so do you think that song would have became as big as it became if it wasn't for Empire helping get it out to like a more mainstream audience?
I think it would have. I think it would have, just because at the trajectory I was going towards, it was not just Empire that I was with, but I was with the support, because I'm signed under management to All But Six, which is like Mike and the Magician, Puya, Fat Nick, all them. So I didn't just have the support of Empire, but I had the support of them too. So I had more eyes coming from left and right. So yeah, I think it would have got there eventually.
Definitely. So what year did you meet Puya and Fat Nick and them? Because that's kind of like how I've always known of you, as just being like adjacent to them.
Yeah. I think 2020, I had flown out to Miami, and Puya literally welcomed me into his crib, just like in his little skivvies, hair all over his chest. It was like
he's a weird gremlin looking little guy.
Yeah, fucking short little guy, hair everywhere.
Yeah,
in his little undies. But yeah, he was like, "Come in, get yourself situated. There's a guest room over there." He was like, "Yo, you can stay for like a couple weeks. If you want, Mikey can house you too." So yeah, I was literally supposed to stay there for like 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks went by, and he was like, "Yo, you can stay longer." And I was like, "Okay, cool." 3 months went by, and he was like, "Yo, you just want to move in?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. I mean, I'll move in." And he was like, "Yeah, no rent or nothing. You can just stay here, just work on music." So yeah, that was like 2020. And then I never went back home ever since.
Okay.
I just loved it out there.
So you say you're part of the same management company, so you wouldn't describe it as being like their artist or like discovered by them, or obviously it's kind of tricky, but
I would say yeah. I would be like their artist. They have helped me out a lot, to an extent to where it's like I'm their artist, and I'm always gonna rep them too. Like I'm their artist, and like they dug me out of the dirt and put me in the limelight. So yeah, I appreciate them.
But originally it was Buffet Boys, but then they changed it over at some point, right?
Yeah, they changed it over like last year.
Okay. Oh,
like
is that recent? Right.
Yeah, like 1 or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. They wanted a rebrand, so
yeah. Yeah, that name, it's like, it's very like of the time.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I could see how they probably, as they've grown and they're like grown ups now, because I knew them. I mean, they were young as when they did that interview.
Yeah.
I'm sure it kind of feels sort of like immature to them or something.
Yeah, for sure. Especially like when everyone's like like growing up now, and they're trying to like get with the times. Like they're trying to get a new fan base because everyone's smoking Black and Milds at 37 years old now. So they're trying to like rebrand and just pretty much start a new collective.
Definitely. So how do you feel about like the underground? Because when I think about Puya and Fat Nick and shit, they're like of the underground, but sometimes I see the artists that get hyped up as like the new poppin' underground rappers, and sometimes I like them, and sometimes I think they're trash, and sometimes I'm just like, I went to a Laser Dim show like 6 months ago.
I
felt way too old to be in that building. It definitely, I had a good time, but it definitely stood out to me. I was like, you are very old to be in this environment, which I used to be totally comfortable in that world.
Yeah, no, I completely feel you. Like there's times where like I go to a show now. I was I think I met Netspend at a on the Grey Day tour.
And I fuck with Netspend, but sometimes I listen to Netspend and I'm like, okay, you're definitely 40. Yeah, for sure.
Dude, no, I met him and I was like, holy shit, like this is like the new underground. Like this kid's like, I think he's like 19 or something like that. He's young, but it made me feel like an unk. Like it made me like damn, this is like the new generation of the underground. Like it's not just this like raunchy, dirty, South kind of rap. It's like the new like auto-tune kind of
super fast paced, just a lot of strange things going on. But you see the way that the kids gravitate towards it, and like you can grow old in hip-hop, but I'm not so sure you can necessarily grow old in the underground, because a lot of times I'll see the dudes who are like 30, 35, they're still in like the underground scene, and it just feels like you're almost like not meant to grow old in that world, because even the underground fans expect you to graduate to a different audience sound at a certain point.
Yeah, for sure. Like I mean, even with Puya, like Puya, his fan base was like angsty teens that were like part of the hardcore scene and shit like that. But since he's like started making different type of music, like venturing into like the indie type of sound, alternative, like that shit, he's gotten like new fans, older fans, people that are just like there at shows to just like get a drink and just chill, not like punch people in the face in the pit. So I definitely see like how you can branch off from like the underground, but yeah, I don't know how people like get treated now, like the legends get treated in like the new underground scene, because like it just doesn't feel right, like for them to stay in the underground and like transition to that sound.
Right.
It's just like I don't know how I feel about it.
Because thinking about it, in like the mainstream rap world, they take dudes like Future and Thug and etc. and like those are like revered as like the biggest artists and the dopest artists, because like they've made these crazy hits over the years and shit like that. And then when you think about the underground, they're always craving the new thing. So it's like Netspend might really be like the king of the underground, whereas dudes who are like 10 years removed from the underground, a lot of times the underground's kind of moved on past them. And honestly, like I've seen Puya sort of having like a little mini existential crises on his Instagram story and shit like that, because I know that kind of weighs on him, that he's not always 100% sure like what his scene is or his crowd is or what he should be doing. And then even when I'm watching you and Fat Nick do punk rock like pop punk type beats and shit like that, I'm like, oh okay, like Fat Nick like trying to figure out exactly like what his fan base wants from him at this point.
And I mean it's all like just trying to find like what you're good at, like just trying to find new avenues to go into, so you're not boxed into like one little category, which I'm sure like those newer underground artists like Netspend, Laser Dim, like all of them, I'm sure like they're not gonna have the same sound forever either. Like
they definitely can't. But I mean, those artists, like if they're able to keep developing, they could definitely have long ass careers. But I mean, we've seen so many people, like even with the whole country thing, as much as it's kind of cliche at this point, but like Jelly Roll used to just be like a 3-6 Mafia like signee. He was with like Lil White and shit, and for him to be able to just like take a look at his life and just realize that like maybe this style of music was not going to work for him and that he could pivot into country. I feel like seeing shit like that, like I've seen Quavo try to do the same thing recently. He's making country songs, and I'm sure that if that shit works, that he will fully be all 100%. Up in that, just because it's like you can only be a young cool rapper who like makes songs for the strip club and shit for so long.
Yeah, I mean a perfect example for that is MGK.
Oh
Like
yeah,
he
100%.
went from I mean he was known for like his rap music, but people weren't listening to it after 2014, and then he made like all the pop punk shit, and then boom, became like one of the biggest things on earth.
Yeah,
so it's crazy.
Definitely. And it's like in hip hop, it used to be like sacrilege to really be into any other type of music. And now it's like super common and accepted. And it's almost like, you know, I don't think the fan base is like totally like walled off to that in the way that it used to be. Like even with X, like I saw X go from making one type of music to making a completely different type of music, and the audience did not skip a beat. They were just like, oh, this is great music. We with it. And he got so many more new fans as he made shit that was more appetizing to regular people.
Yeah, no, X is literally the reason why I'm like so comfortable. I don't know if you've heard like all my music, but he's the reason why I'm so comfortable, like just switching through genres, like not just staying to rap. Cause like for a long time, I was like, okay, I'm a white boy in rap. I look like I'm, so people are gonna try me. So I was like, damn, I gotta like keep this hard image like that I'm lit, like I'm tough, like this and that. So I have to keep dropping hard shit. But then he was dropping like some singing shit, like shit where it's like like that shit, and I was like, damn, I guess I can do that and branch off, and like people won't look at me any different. So I started like dropping different types of genres because of that, which shouts out to him. I wouldn't have done that before.
Okay, you tell me if I'm totally tripping, but in some weird way, I feel like X had that kind of like trap metal like sound at a certain point. It was like super aggressive, rough, raw sounding rap. And then when he kind of left it behind, it was like I've never seen anybody get as big as he seemed like he was going to be off some of those songs. And sometimes I was always like wondering if we were going to have like another artist who blew up that sounded like older X.
Yeah, I mean,
and then instead, I don't know, like Zilla Kami is dope as
Zilla. I think City Morgue is probably the only thing that almost hit that threshold. But with X, that's a crazy threshold to hit. Like that's like, I mean, I don't know how many tickets he would have sold like before he passed. I think it was like around like 2,000 to 5,000, but it was definitely the trajectory was there to like be in arenas. So I don't know. I don't think there's anyone else that like hit that besides the boys, but they don't really do like screaming shit.
I was about to name them, but then I'm thinking about like the more recent stuff I've listened to from them, and I kind of, even though that's like their fan base, I don't necessarily think of their stuff as being that aggressive and screamy.
They're not like over here like just straight screaming. Like they'll scream on like their ad libs sometimes, but like they're not like overly like just letting the mic have it.
Yeah, and I mean that is one of the craziest things ever. It's just how big they got.
Dude, it's fucking insane.
It's kind of hard for me to understand, but it's so amazing to see their fan base and how big it is.
Bro, it's like it's something that you have to like see in person too. Like being there, it's a whole other experience. Like seeing them, I was like, holy shit, like this is possible. Like to keep like the underground sound and do like mainstream numbers. And it's insane, like because everyone in the arena, just like every single lyric, every single word, there was not one moment where someone took a breath. Everyone was singing lyrics the whole time. It's crazy the amount of hits that they have.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty much like the most extreme example of like a cult fan base that I could think of in rap history. And I thought they were so lit in 2016 going to like a warehouse show in downtown LA with them, and just see them get to the point where they're playing the same venues as like big female pop stars that I've gone to their concerts and stuff, and they're selling out venues like that. I'm just like, what the how did this happen?
It's insane, dude. It's crazy.
Definitely. How much time you spend around those guys? Have you ever been on tour with them and shit?
No, I literally just met them. I want to say like 4 months ago on this previous grade A tour. I went for like a week to support Puya and everyone. Ended up talking to Ruby a little bit and Scrim, mainly Ruby though. But yeah, they're super cool. They're super cool. I love those guys.
Definitely. Okay, so how did the thing with signing to Empire actually work out? Like, did you decided to leave that behind at a certain point, or what?
No, I'm still with Empire.
I'm
still with Empire to this day. I mean, I love them. I've been there since like the beginning, since when I started first getting a little momentum. They've been there with me. So I'm a very loyal person. So if I like someone or something, even if it hinders my career or something, if it's stupid from a business perspective, like I'll stick with it. So I don't think I see myself leaving Empire.
Definitely.
So,
That's
yeah.
dope. Okay, but have you ever had like other offers or like people who kind of try to sell you a dream that you could be bigger than they've been able to make you?
Yeah, a few from like Sony.
Really?
There's a couple other ones that my manager told me to, but they had also like wanted to wait until the deal was over with Empire, and I just keep like doing options, if you know what options are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep entering option deals, so it's
Definitely.
not happening.
So, okay, did having that song Waste, wait, so were you the only person who was involved in making that song, or was there anybody else involved creatively?
Besides the producer, yeah. It
There's,
was just one producer, which was Red Mosque, and then my producer Rocky that did the drum fill before the chorus.
so like having a ridiculously successful song like that, how did that kind of change the way that you viewed music? Like just having something that big, it must have been kind of overwhelming.
Dude, yeah, it was like at first I didn't know what was going on. Like I started getting paychecks that were like bigger and bigger and bigger, and I was like, holy shit, like where is this coming from? And then I go into the Spotify for artist shit, and I see Waste going from 5,000 streams a day to it was like 250. By the time I noticed, it was like going viral. It was at 250,000 streams a day, and then it hit I think 1 million streams in one day at one point. And I was like, "Oh shit, like that's a lot of money." But it honestly it changed my perspective. Not really, but it made me be able to do what I wanted to do in music, because now I don't have to be like, "Oh shit, I hope this song blows up so I can pay the rent next month, or I can pay my bills next month." Now I have a steady form of income, so I don't have to worry about the types of music that I make. I can just put out whatever I want and not worry about it doing good or not.
Right.
So
I mean, that song to me kind of reminded me of when X made Sad, and it was kind of like, oh, all right, like he's a SoundCloud rapper, but he just made a song that through just like good songwriting and a nice melody
yeah,
was able to have, I remember the thing that made us really like our jaws just dropped was when Kylie Jenner put it on her Snapchat story and we were all just like, what the like couldn't believe that somebody from that world had just got the attention of the Kardashians.
yeah,
But it was like, she doesn't know who this dude is. She doesn't understand. It's just like a purely great song, which is like, that's one thing I worry about sometimes when I look at like, a lot of the artists, whether it's drill rappers or whatever, is that it's like they're awesome, they're creative, but their creativity isn't like open-minded enough that they could make a song that would be able to have that kind of reach. Like I don't know. Like when you made that song, like do you find yourself trying to sort of like recapture that?
I did for a second, which kind of hindered me. I made like a predominantly grunge album right after that. And obviously it didn't sound the same because I was like trying to recapture the moment. But now I've learned to just like, that was a time. Now just make whatever you want to make, because the way that happened was I was just depressed as in the studio one day, and my homie sent me a riff, and I just like threw it on, and I did whatever I did on the mic in like 30 minutes. And then at first I was like, damn, this shit's ass, like I'm not dropping this. And then my manager came in and he was like, yo, this shit gave me goosebumps. And I was like, dude, you're gay, like why would you say that to me? And he was like, no, like literal goosebumps. And he had like actual goosebumps. And then from that point on, everyone that I showed it to had like actual goosebumps when I showed it to them. And I was like, damn, so I should drop it.
Yeah,
and
that's
then,
a big cosign.
Yeah, goosebumps. Shout out
like
goosebumps.
Literally something you can't control at all.
Yeah, exactly. So then I dropped it, and then it just went insane. It dropped on the album, so I didn't like do any special promo for it. But yeah, it went insane.
Definitely. But so did that, like, I don't know, it's just like, is there part of you that kind of changed your view of what music was at that point, where you thought maybe like, have you ever thought about being like a songwriter, or like just getting involved, or like, or have you even thought about kind of leaving rap to the side to like try different styles, like more so? Like, I mean,
yeah, I definitely like have thought about like going into like producing and shit like that. I help my friends write sometimes, like in different genres, like in pop punk and like pop and rap, like every genre that I can think of. So I've thought about going into songwriting and producing, but it just takes too much time out of like my own career. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to like solely focus on my career, and then once I make it to where I want to be, then that's when I'll branch off and start doing shit for other people.
What do
like
you
that.
think is the most beneficial thing for you? Is it like touring, or is it just staying put and focusing on music?
In my opinion, at the moment, I think staying put and making music, but that's just because like I have really bad social anxiety. So when I'm like out and about, I can't think of anything else except for like that one thing that I'm doing. So when I'm on tour, I barely make any music.
Really?
So and without music, there's no tour.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, touring is picking up now. I just started doing my own like headlining tours like last year, I think. So that's starting to pick up. So soon, I mean, hopefully touring will be better than actually just like making music.
Do you think at this point in your life, would you rather headline a tour, or would you rather be on a tour with bigger artists and maybe you're like third or fourth down the bill?
Um, Honestly, it depends. It depends like how big the tour is. Like if it's like arenas or stadiums, then it's
Yeah.
like obviously like I would want to experience that because I haven't experienced that before.
Yeah.
But as far as like energy and feeling like I'm wanted, I think my own headlining tour. I think I enjoy those a lot, even if they're like 500 cap, 1,000 cap. Like those are super fun, especially like the
Definitely.
little sweat boxes.
Mm.
Those are nice.
Definitely. What do you think of, like, we kind of talked about this before, but what do you think of the underground's strength at this point? Because like a lot of times people talk about how rap is kind of like in a depression, and a
Mhm.
lot of times they're kind of talking more about like mainstream rap and shit like that. But do you feel like, do you see any of that effect on the underground scene?
No, I don't think so. I think the underground is in like their own little world, their
Mm.
own little bubble. Like no one's worried about what's going on in the mainstream media because like it's always been like the underground against everyone else
Mm.
because the mainstream doesn't like the underground obviously, because they just think it's corny, they think it's
Mm.
edgy, until everyone's listening to it, then
Yeah,
they're
until
on
they
it.
find an artist that could break through and have a huge fan base,
Exactly,
and then all of a
like
sudden they're
X.
interested. Yeah.
Yeah, like X that happened. But yeah, it's always been the underground versus the mainstream. So it's I feel like that strengthens the underground fan base because it's like it's something different and people feel like they want to get it mainstream. They want people to know like how good they are, so they're gonna push it even harder and they're
Mm.
gonna ride for them because they're doing something different.
Definitely. Um, okay, where are you at with the drugs now at this point?
Oh, I'm completely sober.
Really? When did
Yeah.
you make that decision?
Off of pills and coke, I would say I was 20 when I first stopped doing it, and then I transitioned to being an alcoholic. I was drinking. I thought it was better because it was legal.
Mm.
I started drinking, I want to say like a 12 pack to a 24 pack a day, and then I transitioned into tequila, which is very bad. I get very violent off of tequila. But I had just stopped drinking tequila 5 months ago.
Okay.
So as of 5 months ago, I'm completely sober.
How's that feel lifestyle wise?
Honestly, it feels weird. It feels weird like getting in places that like I'm used to drinking. Like even in this setting, like I've never done an interview sober.
Mm.
I've never performed sober
Mm.
until like a week ago.
Mm.
So at those times, it's like, damn, I'm getting a craving. Like I feel like I need alcohol in this situation.
Mm.
So it's just adjusting. It's like uninstitutionalizing myself pretty much.
Yeah.
But I think I like it better because like there's no thoughts of damn, did I say anything stupid on stage? Did I do anything like that I shouldn't have done? Did I do anything illegal? Like did I punch someone in the face? just all those thoughts. I don't have to worry about them.
Yeah, being sober is weird, especially when you're in environments where there's a lot of drunk people. Like it feels relatively normal for most of my life, but then when I go to like a party and I'm just totally Steiny from Nelk Boys said that to me the other day. We were at a party and he just looks at me at one point and he goes, "You're just stone cold sober right now, huh?" And I'm like, yeah. And in that moment, I realized how weird me being sober is to him right there when everybody at this party is fucked up in some way.
Yeah, no, it's so weird because it's like you're the only one that has a level head.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone's like turning up to music and shit. And then you're sitting there like, dude, we're all just in this little box, just like jumping around or like talking to each other with loud ass music playing, but we could just be at the crib, just like talking and shit. Like, there's no reason to be here.
And there's so many things that you can appreciate and enjoy when you're fucked up that all of a sudden just don't hit the same when you're sober. Like in that same party environment, some girl comes up and just wants to start dancing on me and acting like all weird and shit. And like, from the perspective of a drunk person, it's like, oh, this girl's kind of hot and she's all dancing on me. From the perspective of a totally sober person, it's just like, yo, this bitch is a mess. Like, I hope she ain't driving home, man, because she is a total disaster right now.
Dried up drool on her lip.
Yeah, and like, but if I was drunk as I'm not gonna be seeing it that way. I'm just gonna be thinking, "Hey, babe, how you doing? You know, you seem totally fine. You seem like you're completely on the same level as me."
Yeah, exactly. You're looking for people that are doing that shit because there's a good time.
But and when you see it from that perspective, it just changes everything.
Yeah, I definitely have so much like regret going through my brain every time I'm put into one of those situations. I'm like, damn, like I see something that someone does that I would have done, and I'm like, holy shit, like that motherfucker looks stupid. Like that's how I look. Like. I feel embarrassed. Yeah. But now that I'm sober, I'm good.
Definitely. You think you're gonna stick with it, or you think that there's anything that could trigger you to start getting fucked up again?
I would say if my girlfriend breaks up with me, probably.
Really?
Over there, crybaby Bree.
How long you been with her?
For about 2 years and some change. So yeah, but I've always been like a sucker for like heartbreaks.
Okay, but do you think she was a big part of you kind of getting your life together?
Oh, she made me
really
sober. Yeah.
When you met her, was she getting fucked up too?
Yeah. Okay. It was pretty bad.
And then she got it together, and then that kind of like forced you to get it together.
No, I think it was all like she noticed that when we're both drunk, like. We don't mix well, and because she's aggressive and I'm aggressive, and when it's alcohol involved, it's amplified times 10. So there has to be at least one sober person, right? And I was the worst. I was the one that was like getting into fights at bars, getting into fights on the street, just doing random shit. Like my finger's broken right now because I had just got into a fight a few months ago, and it still hasn't healed completely. But
what was that about?
Oh, some dude, it was at Rolling Loud. Some dude came up and punched me in the mouth, and I beat his ass. So,
oh shit!
Yeah.
Where? Just
dude was in GA. It was in GA.
And he just randomly punched you?
Well, because I bumped into him on accident, and it was just some drunk dude. Like it was passing by the stands where like they sell alcohol and shit. So I was passing by. I was talking to my girl, and then boom, bumped into him, and I was like, "Oh shit, my bad." And then I hear him yell something, so I turn around, and right when I turn around, boom, right in my mouth. And I was like, I just stood there for a second because I wasn't expecting that. I just stood there, and I was like, "Oh shit!" And then everyone was like, "Yeah, you stood there," because I black out when I fight. They were like, "Yeah, as soon as he punched you, your eyes lit up, and you got a big ass smile," and he just started like. Just swinging him, just started beating his ass after.
Dude, you're bringing back memories right there of like all the different festivals I've gone to over the years and how common that kind of thing was. Like, there's no like lower threshold for violence than at a music festival.
Dude,
it just feels kind of anonymous. Like you could just get it because in the mosh pit, it's like you could just naturally end up fighting a total stranger.
Yeah, and then
it's a weird vibe.
And then you get up and you completely lose track of where they're at, and it's like you never see them again. And it's like, holy shit, I don't even know what that dude looked like.
And if you were to see them like an hour later when you've like chilled out and had something to eat and drink,
it's just
it might feel like, oh, like I was just beating that dude's ass, and now he's like standing right there, and like I don't even remember really what we were getting into.
Yeah, right. Now we're like sharing a beer together or some shit.
Yeah, it was like, who'd you get in a fight with? The guy in the Supreme shirt. It's just like a guy. I don't know. Yeah.
The guy with the whistle in the pit. Yeah, that's him.
Damn, I don't know, man.
Yeah, what were we talking about before though?
Your girl saving your life.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. She was the reason pretty much because she told me like yo, like we can't keep like getting into fights over like alcohol and just like being aggressive. Like one, you're gonna end up in jail because you do stupid shit. Like you do. There's a lot of stupid shit that I do when I'm drunk. And then two, like it was affecting our relationship. So I was like, all right, it's either the relationship or alcohol. I was like, relationship. So yeah, ended up just quitting cold turkey. And yeah, it wasn't that hard. Like compared to pills and shit, there wasn't like that many withdrawal symptoms, just depression, and that's it. So
definitely, yeah. Like in my life, I realized that at one point is that like when me and my girl were getting drunk together, it was all right. If one of us was drunk and the other one wasn't, that was a very bad recipe. And then if we're both sober, it's like totally cool.
Yeah, of course, because like when you're drunk and the other person isn't, it's like I feel like your threshold for bullshit is a lot lower because like they're drunk and they're just doing stupid shit, so it just like automatically pisses you off.
Yeah.
And then the person that's drunk is like, oh, you feel like you're too good for me or whatever because you're sober.
Definitely. I kind of miss it to a certain extent because it's like, think about just like dancing for a prolonged period of time.
Yeah.
That's something that is like very unnatural when you're sober. And when you've had a bunch of alcohol, dancing for hours just feels a lot more normal.
Just screaming to music.
Yeah. I mean, like I could see a video of me dancing in like a nightclub drunk as and it's like I wouldn't even recognize that version of myself. But it's nice to get outside of yourself and outside of your own head at times.
What's your go-to dance move?
Like I'm
little shimmy.
You're just sort of moving around a little as a dude, yeah. Like I don't think you don't want to overthink it.
Yeah, no, you just want to do it. Go with the rhythm.
Just a little something, move around. Just really like if I'm sober and I'm dancing, I'm probably like thinking the whole time, like, what the am I doing? Like this feels weird.
Oh, for sure.
I've been to like weddings where I was sober, and when I think about it, I really didn't have the appropriate amount of fun. Like I should have had more fun in that environment.
It definitely, I mean, bro, don't get me wrong. Like being drunk will amplify the out of your fun. Yeah. But like the next day, you're gonna look back and be like, damn, that is embarrassing. Yeah. Because that's shit. That's all shit you wouldn't do if you were sober.
Because I think like if you really want to like drink and enjoy it, you have to be willing to get a little drunk and then just stop drinking.
Oh yeah, and I can't do that.
And then maybe an hour or two later, you have like another drink. But you have to like really be willing to pace it out. And when you're in that environment, obviously you just want to get drunk as fast as possible.
Exactly. I'm the type of person that's like, if I see alcohol, I'm gonna drink it, take 5 shots off rip. Oh, I don't feel it in 20 minutes. Take 5 more, and then boom, 20 minutes later, they all smack at the same time. And now I'm fucked up. I can't remember shit.
It's crazy seeing how many people are sober now too. Because when I was talking to Fat Nick and like realizing that he doesn't do anything, and like I remember going to see him on tour in Boston back in the day, and just realizing that he had like a very specific amount of lean like weighed out, ready to go for each day on tour. Yeah. So that he didn't have to be like stressing out trying to get it in different cities and shit. So
he some junky shit.
Yeah, but he had like a whole program in place so that he would have like the correct amount of lean every day. And
Smart
I remember
junkie.
just being like, damn, like that's a real commitment. And when you see something like that, you think that the person's never gonna get clean, and then one day you see him and they're like, oh yeah, I've been clean for 8 months, and you're like, oh fuck. Like I kind of wish I had like tried to like urge you to do that years ago, but I never really like even seeing somebody like Lil Pump be totally sober.
Yeah,
like,
no,
bro,
that was weird.
I didn't know that was possible. I would have been trying harder to like get him to do that back in the day. But
I mean, it's a very like thin line of like trying to push someone to do better, because when they're in that state of mind, they're gonna look at you and be like, yo, like shut the fuck up. Like this is my life. Like you don't want to tell someone what to do, but obviously you know what they're doing is wrong and it's hurting them, so you're gonna try to, but they don't listen.
The truth is that they just have to be ready on their
exactly.
own terms,
you can't make someone, you can take a horse to the water, but you can't make it drink it. Like I've done that with my sister multiple times too, like wanting her to quit taking drugs, and then she lies, says she's off drugs, and then starts doing them again. But it just got to the point where she didn't want to be on drugs anymore, so she stopped. Definitely. Same thing with me too.
So you almost overdosed on tour at one point?
On tour? Did I? No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
No. Oh, that one. Yeah. So it was on Molly. My first time taking Molly.
Ah.
Yeah, it was actually right before we went on like our first little tour. It was like bro, it was like a 4-city tour with like 3 people. And it was in Idaho. But yeah, I took Molly and it was my first time and it was actually like the first time I realized I had like a bunch of mental health issues because I had had like a super bad panic attack and I thought I was like dying. I walked out and I thought everyone that was in the room, like all my friends, were like fake people. Like they were not there. Like
Mm.
when I went out into the living room, there was no one there, and I was like, damn, were all these people just like a figment of my imagination, like
Mm.
for the past 20 years?
Yeah.
Like, did no one actually exist? And I started tweaking out, and then they told me to like go to bed, this and that. Like once they came back in, and I ended up like shaking and shit like that, thinking I was like dying, but it was just anxiety. Later knowing, I went to the hospital because of it, and I told them I was dying, and they're like, "No, honey, you're just on drugs." And I was like, "No, I'm dying." And they're like, "All right, let's get you in then." They put me on an IV, sat me in a room for overnight, and I remember just sitting there like I kept hearing a System of a Down song. What was it? It was like it kept repeating in the end it all goes away. What do I do? What do I say? In the end it all goes away. Just like hearing that for 5 hours straight.
Whoa.
And the walls just like melting. I don't know what the was in that Molly,
Holy
but
shit.
I was like tweaking. And I just felt like I was like about to die at any moment.
Did that make you get closer to wanting to get sober?
No, that made me want to just do downers. Yeah. Ever since then, I didn't do uppers.
Really?
Yeah. So I was just perked out after that.
Holy shit, yeah. But
Yeah.
the perks are, I don't know.
Dangerous.
It's a scary ride, yeah, at times.
Is.
Yeah.
Once it's like a 99% addiction rate. Like once,
Really?
yeah, once you're in there, you're locked in, twin.
Crazy how popular they are and like how we had like the Xan era.
Oh yeah.
And then we enter into the perk era where nobody talks about Xans, but like for some reason perks are like cool and romanticized. But I feel like Peep dying with like a Xan photo on his Instagram, like from like the day before he died. Like I feel like that was kind of like a wake up call. It definitely was to me. For me, that was a massive wake up call.
Yeah, that was I think that was the first time like someone dying like in that big of a spotlight off of like laced drugs.
Yeah, I didn't even know about that until that.
Yeah, ever since then they started like testing shit, like giving out testing kits and shit like that.
Yeah.
And I think that was when I was like, when I first found out about fentanyl, when I was like, damn, like I can have like a baby dose of fentanyl and I can like die.
Yeah, because even if you are reckless enough that you don't give a fuck, like all of a sudden it became the kind of thing where like every time I had Xans, my girl would be just looking at me like, what the fuck? Like, you're gonna die. Peep died from that shit. Like, you don't know if that shit's real.
Yeah, and bro, and when you're on Xans too, a lot of people like that don't take Xans, they don't know, but you forget how many Xans you're on. Yeah. You take 5 of them, and you're like, someone stole my 5 Xanax. I'm not even on Xanax right now.
Yeah.
And then you get fronted 5 more from your homie, take them, and it's like, damn, I need more.
Yeah.
Like you just keep doing them. It's dangerous.
Nah, I'm lucky that I was always able to kind of keep it under control. But I remember like having nights where I did a couple of bars and it would just be this huge 12-hour gap in my memory. Or like waking up, going through your texts, reading all your texts, trying to figure out what the fuck you were doing. Just like
trying to figure out what the fuck you said without like autocorrect. Everything's just all jumbled together.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
And realizing like, holy shit, I tried to this girl that I like. I should totally have not tried to like. There's very good reasons why I should have never been hollering at this girl. But the Xans just had me,
dude. The Xans make you want to fuck anything.
Honestly, you need to like, if you're gonna take up a Xan, you need to turn on the like GPS thing that like tracks your route, so you can wake up in the morning and just be like, holy fuck, I went there.
Just feel like a little air tag in your asshole.
Well, hey, wherever it fits, yeah. Throw it in your shoe, maybe, if you don't want to be that committed.
Nah, the asshole's kind of cool.
But so you spend all your time in Florida now?
Yeah, I actually live in Florida now.
So what's the lifestyle like out there?
Dude, honestly, super calm, super chill. Like, just go. I bought my crib out there in Miami, so all I have to do is go downstairs to go to my studio now, since I have one in my crib. I literally just record all day, and then if I want to do something, I'll like take my girl somewhere, or I'll go with like Puya, Nick, whoever, because we all live in like a 30-minute radius to each other. And yeah, it's just hella calm, just like in the suburbs, just
Definitely.
golfing, going out to Dave and Buster's,
Yeah.
shit like that.
I feel like LA and New York City have like something in the air that I love that is just like a degree of like motivation, because everybody's like kind of working really hard, and like there's just a lot of energy in the air. And then when I'm in Florida, the energy to me is like, nah, you could just chill. Like,
Yeah, no, it definitely
it's just something different
for a
about
while. I got hella complacent being in Florida, because it was just like, at that point when I finally like got my crib out there, I obviously was making a substantial amount of money. So I was like, damn, I can just relax. I'm gonna off all this money. I'm gonna just chill. And I ended up forgetting like that I had to make music to like keep making more money.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, like you said, like coming out to LA, it just like everything's so fast paced that like you have no choice but to like step it up and be like, okay, shit, I got to start working more and more and more.
Yeah.
So that's how I think too. I think that I come out here to get work done and then go back to Miami for leisure.
Yeah. I also just feel like the cost of living determines the vibe in a lot of places. Like in New York City, you just really need to make a shitload of money to even be able to exist. Yeah, and that's just like a different vibe than most parts of the country that are way more laid back.
It's really not a vibe paying $5,000 for a 2-bedroom apartment in New York.
Yeah.
That just kind of kills the vibe.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I was at my friend's apartment in Florida relatively recently, and it was like, he told me how expensive it was, and I'm just like in my head like, what the that this spot would literally be like 3 times as much in LA.
It's crazy, because like I know someone that has like a high-rise apartment, and they pay like, I want to say like $3,000 to $5,000 a month, but like out in LA with that view and everything, like that would be like 15 bands a month.
No, those are the exact numbers I was just thinking of. Yeah. Where I know somebody who's like shopping for apartments right now, and it's kind of like he wants like a nice high-rise apartment, and for sure it's like at least 10, 12K a month, which is for most people just like even me 10 years ago, that would have been unthinkable. Even to me now, that sounds crazy, because that's way more than my mortgage. Like,
no, I think I looked it up like a few months ago. The average cost that you the average salary that you have to make to live like comfortably in LA is like $120,000 to $140,000 a year.
I mean, especially if you include the expensive parts, like the really expensive parts, for sure. Like we went to a birthday party in Malibu recently, and it was just like I just realized at some point, like, oh, we're at like a $12 million spot right now. And it doesn't even look like anything that crazy, but it's just
fucking like downtown LA, like super expensive to live there, but walk outside, there's homeless people ODing, you might step in shit, you might stomp on a needle or something, like, it's still super pricey.
I tell people, if you want to live downtown, you better be prepared to like just Uber Eats. Dude, and downtown, just don't walk around too much.
Downtown is like its own little world.
Yeah,
it's like the Wild West.
That's definitely where this podcast emerged from. When I tell people that I like was at the like heart of SoundCloud rap at a certain point, it was downtown, like right on the edge of Skid Row. Yeah,
dude. Yeah, I almost I think like 2 years ago, I got caught in like crossfire of like some gang shootout in downtown. It was just 2 people. It was one dude that was like behind a car, and then another dude that was like with this girl, and they started like talking back and forth. And the other dude had like a mask on, and he wasn't saying shit. Like he was like on demon time. He wasn't saying anything. He just went behind the car on the hood and started firing on him. And I was like from me to you, like that close to the other person. I was on like one of those bird scooters. So I heard bullets just going past me, and I was like, oh shit. And I had to like skirt out of there. But
man. Yeah, I think about that kind of shit all the time.
Dude,
like,
it's
what
crazy.
I would do. Yeah.
It's crazy. Fuck. Like I didn't know what the fuck to do. I just full throttle out of there. But it was wild because like no cops showed up, like nothing happened. Like the guy that shot at the other dude just kept walking on, didn't even like run or anything. Just kept walking, like nothing happened.
God damn. Scary world out here. Yeah. So where's your head at in terms of music and what you feel like you need to be doing to take your career to the next level at this point?
Shit, honestly, just focus on touring and just be consistent with music. I think the one thing I haven't been doing recently is being consistent with music. Like from before, like when I had dropped Disorder, my album that had Waste on it, I was like super consistent, keeping everyone like locked in. And I just like got complacent, I guess. But now I'm back on making like 1 to 2 songs a day. About to start releasing hella shit. I'm trying to drop like 2 albums a year starting 2025, and then yeah, just pretty much all that, and then touring. Just trying to get used to making music and touring at the same time. Yeah, I got a tour coming up too in February.
Who you going out with?
March. Simpra.
Nice.
Simpra. Yeah, it's gonna be. No, he's done shows in the U.S. before, but yeah, it's gonna be me and him, and then maybe some other supporting act, but we don't know yet.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your message to the people out there?
Shit, my message to the people: be yourself. You're gonna look at yourself the next day like you're stupid anyway. So just do what the fuck you want in the moment. Don't be scared of the results. And yeah, obviously, don't be scared of what other people have to think about you, because in the end, you're gonna die by yourself. You're not gonna die next to all those other people that are judging you.
That's real. Yeah, everybody turn my man up on all streaming services. I'm glad we got to have this conversation.
Of course. It was amazing.
Appreciate you, G. Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Thanks so much. Everybody go check out Kxllswxtch and tap in, like and comment. No Jumper, coolest podcast. Appreciate y'all.